All right, so today we're going to talk about the connections that a graph, an equation, a table, and a scenario have. Now that we've talked a lot about solutions already and graphed equations, we're ready to just make sure that we understand how they all connect. Basically, if you're given a graph, an equation, a table, or a scenario, if you're given one out of the four of these, you should be able to come up with the other three. And so that's what I'm going to help you with today. So for this one, I'm asking you to come up with the table, the equation, and a graph that would represent the solutions to this scenario. And what I mean by scenario is I want you to come up with a real world. It's a real world story, kind of, that will often have a rate in it and will often have a starting point. And that's going to help you figure out a y-intercept. That's going to help you find out the coefficient of x. So let's go ahead and take a look at this scenario. It says, Jimmy went for a long bike ride towards the mall. He rode at a rate of 15 miles per hour. When Jimmy started his ride, he was 25 miles from the mall. Create solutions to show how his distance, or to show his distance from the mall over time. So whenever you do this, it doesn't matter if you come up with your solutions in a table first. It doesn't matter if you come up with your equation. It doesn't matter if you start at your graph first. Usually you're going to try to come up with an equation or come up with solutions in a table to begin with. So let's just first identify, what do you suppose x and y represent? Well, when we're given a rate, that gives us a clue. Our rate is 15 miles per hour. Remember, when we find the rate of change, we do the change in y on top over the change in x. So miles is representing y and hours is representing x. And specifically, when we're labeling our x and y axis, here we're just going to put hours, or you could just say time in hours. Over here, though, instead of just writing miles, we want to say distance from the mall. So now, when I come up with my solutions, I personally would start with my table, but you also could write an equation. And there's two different ways to do this, so bear with me for just a second. One way is to say that he starts 25 miles from the mall. So you could start your table with he starts, no time has passed, and he is 25 miles from the mall. Then, as he's traveling towards the mall, his distance towards the mall is decreasing. Decreasing how much? Well, 15 miles per hour, right? So after 1 hour has passed, he is now 10 miles from the mall. 2 hours has passed. Well, now he's past the mall, right? So now we're getting into negative. So we could say that he is negative 5 miles from the mall. So the negatives then would represent that he's now past the mall. If I continue that way, I would say, all right, after 3 hours, he's now negative 20 miles from the mall. And after 4 hours, he is now negative 35 miles. The other option would be to call the y-intercept negative, which would just mean that all of these would just change sign. You could say that he started 25 miles from the mall. You could say, well, that distance I'm going to say is negative because he's traveling towards the mall. That would be negative 10, and these would all be positive. Either way would work, but your equation would be different depending on what you do. So now if you think about the equation, let's go with this. If you think about the equation, well, you've actually been given your rate and your y-intercept. So this equation could go in slope-intercept form. So what you're going to do is you're going to say, all right, well, we know that the distance y is going to equal, well, the y-intercept is going to be 25, right? So that's your constant, 25. And then what's happening with that 25 is you are subtracting 15 miles every hour. So you could write it that way, or you could say y equals negative 15x plus 25. Either way is fine. Now, if you chose your y-intercept to be 0, negative 25, then your equation would be y equals negative 25 plus 15x. Either way is fine. In this case, we're going to have a negative slope, and we're going to be going down the way we're doing it. So now we need to be thinking about the graph. And when you think about your graph, I want you to use as much of this as possible and think about what quadrants you need, right? So over here, my x values, they're all positive, right? So I'm going from 0 to 4. And really, if you notice, there's a whole lot of spaces here. So we want to space out. So maybe every 3 or every 4 could be 1, or maybe even every 2, right? So we don't want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, because then our graph is really only going to go from here. So spread it out like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that, okay? And then here we need to go from positive 25 all the way down to negative 35, right? So your x-axis is going to go somewhere in the middle here, right? Up here you're going to start with a 25 and then work your way down. So then you have to decide what you want to count by. Do you want to count by 5s? Do you want to count by 10s? What I would do is I personally would make every single one of these tick marks 5. That's what I would do. So go ahead and stop the video, give it a try, and then tune back in and I'll show you how I did it. Okay, so this is what my graph looks like. My y-intercept 0, 25 is right here. What I'm doing is I'm actually counting by 5s, but I'm just labeling every other one. So it looks like I might be counting by 10s, but I'm not. And my numbers, the little tick marks right here, that's where my numbers go. And then what I just did is on the x-axis, I just spread out my x-axis and I put it, notice I put it here because we need to cover the first quadrant and the fourth quadrant because we have some negatives. And so if you notice, every third one is where I put my tick mark for the ones. You could do it however you want, but I want you, when you do your graph, to use as much space as you can. So sometimes you have to spread it out, sometimes you have to count your axes by different numbers. Okay, go ahead now and answer these two questions on your own. Use the equation to check an ordered pair in your table, and then use the equation to find an ordered pair that's not in the table on your graph. Stop the video and do that. Alright, so in order to check an ordered pair, I just picked one of these and I plugged it in. I picked 2, -5. I put 2 in for x into my equation, and I put -5 in for y, and I just double checked to make sure it made sense. Here, any ordered pair that's not in your table of graph, I just picked a value for x and I plugged it into my equation for x, and then I got here, I picked 10 and I got -125. You could have different things here, just make sure it works and make sure that you picked something for either x or y, and then write your answer as an ordered pair. So this would mean that after 10 hours I would be 125 miles past the mall. Now the second half of the page is really just a summary of all of the things that we've been talking about. So I personally think you should turn off the video and answer these on your own and then tune back in. I'm asking you specifically, like when I get here, what is the slope? I'm talking about like what is the slope to the scenario that we just did. So here the slope would be -15, okay? Go ahead, turn off the video. I want you to try these 12 questions on your own, and then if there's some that you're unsure of, then just come back to the video and I'll explain. Okay, and here are the answers. If you have any questions, make sure you stop and ask. But yeah, this whole front side should be a pretty good study guide, especially the second half of this. This is all good reminders of how all the things that you basically need to know for this concept. All right, so now flipping it over to the back. The top half of the back is just matching graphs and equations, graphs, and tables. So here, there's not a real world meaning, but what you're given is you're given some lines and you're given some equations, and you're asked to figure out like which line goes with which equation and then which table goes with which table. Now this really, you can be very strategic about this. So my personal opinion is I would go through and I would figure out, because look, all of these are in slope-intercept form. You would just go over, find the slope, the y-intercept of each one, find what line that is. So I would do the graphs first, and then once you have the graphs, then you just find that graph and look at some of the ordered pairs that are on it. So like you could also just take these ordered pairs and plot them up here and see what graph does this one hit. You don't have to, you could plug them into all the equations, but like you don't have to do that because the graphs are right here. Just see, find these ordered pairs, see what graph it hits, and then if you already know what graph it is, then you can get the equation. You really can do this however you want. I'm just trying to give you some helpful hints and how to do it quickly. I do definitely stop the video at this point and then come back in for the answer key. For real, it does not help you to copy down the answers. You need to stop the video. Stop it. Stop it now. Okay, I really hope you stopped the video and tried these on your own because it does you no good. Make sure you understand how to do this. And if it took you forever, then come ask me and I'll tell you how to make it so that it doesn't take you forever. All right, let's take a look at the bottom half. So quiz questions for this concept are going to look a lot like this. You're going to be asked, you're going to be given a situation, and you're going to be asked to either come up with the description, the equation, the table, or the graph, given one out of the four. So it could look similar to the top half of the front, could look similar to this, and there will also be a matching section, which is what you just did. So if you take a look at this one, I'm giving you a situation. And if you look, situation number 1 is talking about parking garage costs. I have not given you the description. This is where you would write your story, the scenario. In your description, you must give the meaning of the rate of change and the y-intercept. So remember, the rate of change is your rate, which is your slope, and the y-intercept is your starting value, right? Your equation, when you write your equation, you use the rate of change and the y-intercept to write the equation in slope-intercept form. This one, you're given the table, right? So here, you use this table to find the rate of change and the y-intercept. So put those over here, and then you can use those to help you with everything. And then you know how to do a graph. So it's not going to be a big deal about the graph. Just make sure you label your x and your y-axis. And if you don't count by ones on either your x or your y-axis, you need to label what you're counting by. So stop the video now and see if you can come up with the 3 sections. Give it your best shot. All right, so what I did to start this is I first took my table and I found the slope. Remember the slope, you take 2 of your ordered pairs, you subtract your y values, and then you subtract those x values in the same order, and then you divide, right? So I got 2 over 1 with, I just picked these 2 ordered pairs. I got 2 over 1. And then 2 over 1, well, you think about, well, what does that mean? Well, it's how much you charge per hour, right? So this parking garage is charging $2 every hour. The y-intercept is where they start, right? So they start at $5. Well, what that means is that you have to pay $5 no matter what, and then after that, you're getting charged $2 for every hour you leave your car in this parking garage. So your description has to mention the rate of change. It has to mention the y-intercept and the real-world meanings of them, right? So you would say this parking garage charges $5 to start, and then an additional $2 per hour. So they charge $5 to start and an additional $2 per hour. And that's really as descriptive as you need to get. If you want it to be a little bit more creative and name somebody, like Joe is going into the parking garage, he pulled into a parking garage and the sign says it costs $5 and then $2 per hour, that's fine, okay? But you don't have to be that specific. Then the next thing I did is I went ahead and I just did my graph. So look at my graph. Make sure you spaced everything out. Use as much of your graph as possible. Notice that I put a break in my graph right here. The reason I put a break in my graph is because I wanted to count by ones here. But if I counted by ones, I wasn't going to make it all the way to 15. And then I thought about it. I was like, I could count by 2s, I could count by 3s, which I could do that, right? You don't have to count by 1s here, but I want it to because these are all odd numbers, and I just felt like it would be easier. Well, let's put a break in the graph, start 0, 5 right here, and then now I'm counting by 1s. Anytime you do that, you have to put a break in the graph. If you wanted to, you could have counted by 2s, right? You could have, or 4s, right? That's another option. And then you would have just had to kind of estimate where your points go. All right, notice I separated my hours here. All right, so then now the next thing is my equation. I know that my equation is going to be y equals 2x plus 5. The reason I know that is because 2 is my rate of change, which is my slope, right? And my y-intercept is 5, so 2x plus 5, or 5 plus 2x, either way. All right, if any part of this confused you, please talk to me. Let me know.